The forgotten species, Admiral Sarah Chen, stood at the observation deck of the Defiant Dawn, watching the massive space station Nexus Prime grow larger in the viewport. For 150 years, humanity had knocked on the galaxy's door, seeking membership in the Galactic Federation. For 150 years, that door had remained firmly closed. The irony wasn't lost on her. Earth's greatest minds had designed this ship, incorporating technologies that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Yet the species that built it was still considered too primitive to join galactic civilization. Sarah adjusted her uniform, the deep blue fabric bearing the insignia of Earth's Deep Space Command. Today might be different. Today, the galaxy had bigger problems than human ambition. The communication array crackled to life. Lieutenant Commander James Park, her communications officer, turned from his station. "Admiral, we're receiving the standard warnings from Nexus Prime Security. They're ordering us to maintain distance and state our business." Sarah walked to the center of the bridge, her footsteps echoing in the quiet tension that filled the air. Around her, the most diverse crew Earth had ever assembled worked at their stations. Dr. Amara Hassan, a brilliant xenobiologist from Cairo, monitored alien communication frequencies. Chief Engineer Yuki Tanaka from Neo-Tokyo kept watch over the quantum drive systems. Tactical Officer Dmitry Volkov, a former Russian submarine commander, analyzed the defensive positions of the station ahead. This crew represented the best of humanity, drawn from every continent and culture on Earth. They had trained together for 5 years, preparing for this moment. Not the moment when humanity would beg for acceptance, but the moment when the galaxy would need them. "Open a channel to the Federation Council," Sarah commanded. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Defiant Dawn. We're responding to the emergency session regarding the return of the The response came swiftly, transmitted from the towering spires of Nexus Prime. High Chancellor Varix of the Zentari Empire appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features twisted in obvious displeasure. Behind him, the great amphitheater of the Federation Council buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species debated in urgent whispers. "Human vessel, this is a restricted session. Your species lacks Federation membership. Withdraw immediately or face defensive action." Varix's voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to absolute obedience. Sarah remained calm, her hands clasped behind her back. "Chancellor, with respect, the Devourers don't recognize political boundaries. When they consumed the outer colonies of the hegemony last week, they didn't check membership status first." A new voice interrupted the transmission. "High Counselor, this is of the ethereal collective materialized as a shimmering hologram beside Varix. Her energy-based form pulsed with anxiety. The human speaks truth, Chancellor. The ancient enemy has awakened after 10,000 years of dormancy. Our combined fleets have proven inadequate against their adaptive technology." Sarah seized the opening. "We've been monitoring your engagements with the Devourer swarms. Your tactics follow predictable patterns. They adapt and overcome within. Ours, you need a different approach." Varix's eyes narrowed. "And you believe your primitive species can succeed where we have failed? Your world still uses chemical rockets for basic transportation." "Chemical rockets that got us to the stars," Sarah replied smoothly. "Sometimes the simple solution is the right one. May I present our analysis to the Council?" The debate that followed was fierce. Sarah could hear dozens of alien languages mixing together as species argued about the wisdom of allowing humans to participate. Finally, High Counselor Dizis spoke again. Admiral Chen, the Council will hear your proposal. However, we must inform you that the Devourer fleet is currently approaching the industrial world of Kepler-442b. All civilian evacuations have been completed. If your unconventional methods fail, that world will fall within 18 hours. Understood, Counselor. Sarah turned to her crew. Mr. Park, transmit our tactical analysis to the Council. Dr. Hassan, begin scanning for Devourer. Chief Tanaka, bring the quantum consciousness interface online. The bridge erupted in quiet activity as each officer executed their orders with practiced precision. Sarah walked to the tactical display where Dmitri was highlighting the Devourer. Fleet positions. The ancient enemy appeared as crimson dots on the holographic star chart. Their formations unlike anything in current military doctrine. Admiral Dmitri said quietly, their ships are not built like ours. No clear command structure, no supply lines, no apparent vulnerabilities. They move like a living organism, not a fleet. Dr. Hassan looked up from her station. That's because they might be, in a sense. My scans are picking up quantum signatures that suggest these aren't traditional artificial intelligences. There's something organic about their thought patterns. Something ... double quotes. She paused, frowning at her readings. Something sad. The observation struck Sarah as odd, but she filed it away for later consideration. On the main screen, the Council was reviewing humanity's tactical analysis. She could see the surprise on several alien faces as they examined Earth's unconventional approach to the Devourer problem. Chancellor Variks spoke first. Your analysis suggests attempting communication, rather than destruction. This approach was tried 10,000 years ago. The Devourers do not negotiate. Maybe, Sarah said, but has anyone tried to understand what they want? Your historical records show they appeared, consumed several worlds, then vanished. What if they weren't conquering? What if they were dying? High Counselor, Tice's energy form flickered with interest. Explain your reasoning, Admiral. Every species in this galaxy has achieved faster than light travel, energy to matter, conversion, and quantum communication. But the Devourers, despite their advanced technology, still move at sublight speeds between star systems. They could have conquered the entire galaxy in centuries rather than millennia. Instead, they take what they need and move on. That's not conquest behavior. That's survival behavior. The Council chamber fell silent. Sarah could see alien representatives exchanging glances, their various forms of communication creating a subtle symphony of lights, sounds, and chemical signatures. The human vessel will be permitted to attempt contact with the Devourer fleet, Chancellor Variks announced finally. However, Admiral Chen, you will do so alone. No Federation vessel will accompany you on this foolish mission. Sarah smiled. Understood, Chancellor. We wouldn't want it any other way. As the defiant dawn broke away from Nexus Prime and set course for Kepler-442b, Sarah felt the familiar weight of command settle on her shoulders. Behind them, the assembled might of galactic civilization watched and waited. Ahead, an ancient enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia continued its inexorable approach toward another world. Time to intercept, Sarah asked. 14 hours at current speed, replied Chief Tanaka. Quantum drive is functioning within normal parameters. The consciousness interface is charging, but Admiral ... double quotes, she hesitated. Speak freely, Chief. The interface has never been tested under combat conditions. The neural feedback could be dangerous, possibly fatal. Sarah nodded. She had known the risks when Earth's scientists first proposed the technology. The quantum consciousness interface would allow the human crew to link their minds directly with the ship's computer systems, creating a hybrid biological-digital intelligence. It was revolutionary, untested, and potentially humanity's only advantage. Dr. Hassan, what's the status of your xenobiological analysis? The Egyptian scientist looked up from her station, excitement evident in her voice. Admiral, I'm detecting something unprecedented. The Devourer ships aren't just using organic components. They are organic components. These aren't traditional AI constructs. They're digitized consciousness patterns, probably uploaded from biological beings millennia ago. The implications hit Sarah immediately. They're not machines pretending to be alive. They're living beings trapped inside machines. Exactly. And if my readings are correct, they're suffering from severe degradation. Their consciousness patterns are fragmenting, becoming more primitive with each passing century. They're not evil, Admiral. They're dying. Sarah turned to address her entire crew. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going into battle today. We're going on a rescue mission. The galaxy has spent 10,000 years trying to destroy the Devourers, because no one stopped to ask what they really were. Today, humanity is going to show the universe what empathy can accomplish. The defiant dawn accelerated toward the approaching fleet, carrying with it the hopes of a species that had never stopped believing in the possibility of understanding, even in the face of fear and aggression. Part 2. When Humanity Stands Alone. Captain Marcus Rivera stood beside Admiral Chen as the defiant dawn dropped out of quantum drive on the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Through the viewport, they could see the Devourer fleet in the distance. Dozens of massive biomechanical ships moving in patterns that seemed almost like a dance. Each vessel was unique, organic curves flowing into technological precision, creating forms that were both beautiful and terrifying. Dr. Hassan, what are your sensors telling us? Marcus asked. As the ship's executive officer, he had worked closely with Sarah to develop their unconventional approach to this crisis. The readings are even stranger up close, Amara replied, her fingers dancing across her console. The ships are definitely housing digitized consciousness, but they're not operating at full capacity. It's like watching someone try to remember a song they once knew perfectly. Chief Tanaka looked up from the engineering station. Admiral, the quantum consciousness interface is fully charged. All neural link stations are prepared for the crew. Sarah studied the tactical display where Dimitri was tracking the Devourer formations. The ancient ships had noticed their arrival but hadn't moved to attack. Instead, they seemed to be ... waiting. They're curious, Marcus observed. Look at their positioning. If they wanted to destroy us, we'd already be debris. They're maintaining a defensive formation, but they're also trying to scan us. Dr. Hassan, can you establish any form of communication? Sarah asked. I'm trying, Admiral. Traditional radio frequencies aren't working, but... Amara paused, her eyes widening. Wait, I'm detecting quantum resonance patterns. They're not just trying to scan our ship, they're trying to understand our thoughts. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Sarah made a decision that would either save the galaxy or doom her crew. All hands, prepare for consciousness interface activation. We're going to meet them on their level. One by one, the crew moved to their neural link stations. The quantum consciousness interface was humanity's most secret technology, developed after decades of studying recovered alien artifacts. It allowed biological minds to merge temporarily with quantum computer systems, creating hybrid intelligence networks that operated beyond the normal limitations of either organic or digital consciousness. Sarah was the first to activate her link. The sensation was indescribable. Suddenly, she could feel the defiant dawn as if it were an extension of her own body. Every sensor array became a new sense. Every computer system became a new form of memory. Around her, she felt her crew joining the network one by one. Marcus brought tactical awareness and strategic thinking. Dr. Hassan contributed her deep understanding of xenobiology and consciousness theory. Chief Tanaka added engineering, intuition, and technical creativity. Dmitri provided combat experience and threat assessment. Each crew member enhanced the collective without losing their individual identity. Then they reached out toward the Devourer fleet. The contact was immediate and overwhelming. Ancient minds, vast and wounded, touched theirs across the void. Sarah felt Marcus steady her as the full weight of the Devourer's pain crashed over their linked consciousness. These beings had once been organic, she realized, an entire civilization that had faced extinction billions of years ago. Their solution had been to upload their consciousness into quantum mechanical systems, preserving their minds while their bodies died. But something had gone wrong. Over millennia, their digital existence had become a prison. They could no longer remember what it felt like to taste food, to feel sunlight, to touch another living being. They had become shadows of their former selves, driven by half-remembered needs they could no longer truly understand. The Devourers didn't consume worlds out of malice. They were searching for something they had lost, the spark of genuine life, the warmth of organic existence. Each time they absorbed a planet's biosphere, they hoped to recapture what they had sacrificed to survive. "They're not monsters," Dr. Hassan whispered through the neural link. "They're the loneliest beings in the universe." Sarah felt the collective consciousness of her crew focusing, bringing human creativity and empathy to bear on the ancient problem. Unlike the purely logical approaches that other species had tried, humanity offered something different, the ability to find new solutions through emotional understanding. "Can we help them?" Marcus asked through the link. Chief Tanaka's engineering mind was already working on possibilities. The quantum consciousness interface, ... We could modify it. Instead of linking biological minds to digital systems, we could link digital consciousness to biological neural networks. Give them the ability to experience organic sensation again, even if only temporarily. The risk would be enormous, Dmitri warned. Allowing alien consciousness to interface with human minds could be fatal. Sarah felt the weight of decision settling over her augmented awareness. Around them, the Devourer fleet waited, ancient minds reaching out with desperate hope. Behind them, the entire galaxy watched to see if humanity would succeed or fail. "Dr. Hassan, can you establish clear communication with their lead consciousness?" "I think so, Admiral. There's one mind that seems more coherent than the others. It might be their original leader." Open the link. What followed was the first true conversation between humanity and the Devourers in 10,000 years. The ancient being that touched their merged consciousness was vast and sorrowful, carrying the accumulated grief of an entire extinct civilization. "You are different," the Devourer leader communicated. "Your thoughts taste of warmth, of connection. We had forgotten such sensations existed." Sarah responded not just with words, but with memories. The feeling of rain on skin, the taste of fresh bread, the sound of laughter shared between friends. Simple human experiences that the Devourers had been seeking across the galaxy for millennia. "We offer you a choice," Sarah transmitted. "Continue your search alone, consuming worlds in the hope of finding what you've lost, or trust us to help you remember what it means to be alive." The negotiation that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Instead of threats and ultimatums, humanity offered empathy and understanding. They proposed a radical solution. Selected volunteers from Earth would undergo temporary consciousness merging with Devourer minds, allowing the ancient beings to experience organic sensation again. In return, the Devourers would share their vast technological knowledge and cease their consumption of populated worlds. The process took hours to establish safely. Chief Tanaka worked with Devourer technicians to modify the quantum consciousness interface. Dr. Hassan studied alien neural patterns to ensure compatibility. Marcus coordinated with Earth Command to identify volunteers willing to participate in the unprecedented exchange. When the first successful merger occurred, the results were beyond anything they had hoped for. The volunteer Devourer consciousness, experiencing human senses through the neural link, wept digital tears of joy. For the first time in billions of years, they could feel the warmth of life again. Word of humanity's breakthrough spread across the Devourer fleet instantly. Ancient minds that had been driven to destructive desperation by isolation and loss suddenly found hope. The consuming hunger that had driven them across the galaxy began to fade, replaced by a different kind of fulfillment. High Chancellor Varix's transmission reached them as the last of the Devourer ships was undergoing the consciousness exchange process. His reptilian features showed undisguised amazement. "Admiral Chen, our long-range sensors confirm that the Devourer fleet has ceased all aggressive activities. They're sharing their technology freely with worlds they previously threatened. How did you accomplish what our combined fleets could not?" Sarah looked around the bridge at her crew. Each of them had volunteered to undergo consciousness merger with Devourer minds, risking their sanity and their lives to bridge the gap between species. They had succeeded not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through humanity's greatest strength, the ability to see the person behind the enemy. "We listened, Chancellor. We tried to understand instead of simply fighting. And we learned that sometimes the monsters we fear are just people who have been alone too long." The aftermath reshaped galactic civilization. The Devourers, no longer driven by consuming hunger, became valued members of the galactic community. Their ancient knowledge advanced technology by millennia. More importantly, their story became a reminder that understanding could triumph where force had failed. Earth was not only granted Federation membership, but was asked to lead a new initiative, the Department of Xenological Understanding. Humanity's gift for empathy and creative problem-solving made them natural mediators for conflicts between species. As the defiant dawn returned to Nexus Prime, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge and watched the stars. They no longer seemed cold and distant. Each point of light represented worlds where different forms of consciousness struggled with their own fears and hopes. And now, humanity was part of that vast community, not as conquerors or subjects, but as friends. The galaxy had moved on without humanity for centuries. But it turned out the galaxy needed exactly what humanity had always offered, the belief that every consciousness, no matter how strange or frightening, was worthy of understanding and compassion. The stars remembered them now, and they would never be forgotten again. **